AM, the stations that leave no listener behind.
It's time for your KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker. In Chino, stop-and-go traffic on the 60 westbound between Ramona Avenue and Reservoir Street. The 60 west is slow from Ramona to the 57. In Corona, stop-and-go traffic on the 91 westbound between McKinley Street and the 15. The 71 south is slow from Euclid to the 91. In Moreno Valley, slow traffic on the 215 northbound between Eastridge Avenue and Highway 60. In the Cajon Pass, an off-ramp is closed on the 15 northbound at Kenwood. That off-ramp is closed until April 9th. This has been your KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker.
Here's the latest. I'm Tiffany Griffith. One of Donald Trump's supporters is facing assault charges for allegedly punching an African-American protester who was being led out of a Trump rally in North Carolina. John McGraw told Inside Edition he had no regrets.
Yes, he deserved it. The next time we see him, we might have to kill him.
Meanwhile, a reporter for Breitbart News is also accusing Trump's campaign manager of grabbing her arm and pushing her. Trump accused the reporter of making up the story and called her delusional. Last night's GOP debate included a showdown over the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Ted Cruz criticized GOP frontrunner Donald Trump of being neutral on the issue. Trump hit back at Cruz, saying, "Nobody on this stage is more pro-Israel than I am." And the nation bids farewell to former First Lady Nancy Reagan. Her funeral will be held at the Reagan Library in Southern California, where Mrs. Reagan will be buried alongside her husband. First Lady Michelle Obama will attend, as well as several former First Ladies and former President George W. Bush. You're listening to the latest from 24/7 News.
Lakers head coach Byron Scott opens up on open season Thursday at 3:05 p.m. I'm Larry Burnett. Tune in for the coach and join open season right here on KCAA AM 1050, FM 106.5.
Listen to KCAA Loma Linda for less confrontation and more information.
When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk.
Good morning. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are On the Brink, the morning show at KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5. So glad to have you with us here this Friday morning. Got a storm coming in. Starting to get some clouds. Always talk about the weather first. We're going to have rain tomorrow.
Yeah, actually, we might get a little bit of rain this evening. I think tonight, late this afternoon, is when the rain's supposed to hit. And probably not too much in the morning tomorrow. And then mostly Saturday should be good. And then another storm comes in kind of late Sunday. So two quick
good.
little storms.
We need them, as I've said before.
as long as it's good weather next Wednesday. Wednesday's a very important day for me.
So what's Wednesday?
The 50th anniversary for Frisbee Middle School. We're having our big event to celebrate our 50th anniversary.
And it's a barbecue, right?
It is. It's outdoors in the quad for most of it. In our school library, we're going to have a big setup with all of the school's memorabilia. So you'll be able to check out all the old yearbooks. They used to do these student-made books called Falcon's Pride. We have a whole bunch of those there. A whole bunch of other stuff. We have a former student who won a Super Bowl. And we have his Super Bowl trophy and a whole bunch of the memorabilia from his professional football career. That's Dave Lang. He won that with the Dallas Cowboys. I think it was Super Bowl 30. And so, really excited to show off some of that stuff. So
right on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So before we get started, I want to let everybody know all the ways they can listen to KCAA. You can find us at 1050 on the AM dial, 106.5 on the FM dial, at kcaaradio.com, where you'll find links to all of our social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. You'll also find our embedded Ustream feed. We have a camera here in the studio. You can click a button just to listen online if that's what you'd rather do. If you're heading in your car to LA, or maybe you're going to Vegas, maybe you're going to San Diego, and I know that the signal gets weaker the farther away you go. You can listen to us on your phone using the TuneIn app on your Apple device, going to KCAA Express on your Android device. You can also find podcasts there. If you want to just listen to the podcast in general, you want to listen to it on your computer, you can go to kcaamorningshow.com, kcaamorningshow.com. And if you have none of the above, you can call to listen at 832-999-1050, 832-999-1050. There was a huge story that was released yesterday, and it hit all the major newspapers, and that was about pre-diabetes and the percentage of people in California who are likely pre-diabetic or have been diagnosed as pre-diabetic.
46% of California adults, Aaron, are pre-diabetic, and that number just hit me in the gut, right? I mean, I'm a school teacher, and I see a lot of kids that are already struggling in middle school, but 46%, that just struck me as so high. I mean, I figured it was a high number, but not that high, you know?
So talk about it a little bit.
Well, this is, for decades, Californians have been putting on more weight. They're falling sick with diabetes, and it's prompted warnings, that the disease was spiraling out of control. Now experts finally have new data showing just how bleak the situation is. Researchers from UCLA determined that 55% of Californian adults have either diabetes or prediabetes, a condition in which blood glucose levels are higher than normal but not yet high enough to be considered diabetic, according to a study that was published Thursday. Experts already knew about the 9% of people in the state that have diabetes, but previous estimates of the range of prediabetes were about 33%, which of course is lower than the actual 46% that this study determined. They say that our genes and our environment are kind of on a collision course. That's according to Dr. Francine Kaufman, a former head of American Diabetes Association, who was not involved in the research, and she says it's not stopping. Rates of diabetes have increased more than 175% nationally since 1980, according to the federal data, and it's now the 7th leading cause of death in California. The UCLA research used data from the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey to create a model that predicts prediabetes based on factors such as race, height, and weight. That model, when applied to the data from the California Health Interview Survey, determined that 13 million adults in the state have either prediabetes or undiagnosed diabetes, and up to 70% of those with prediabetes develop diabetes in their lifetime. That is just shocking, and they're telling us it's a coming storm. It's a coming storm.
It's a bit shocking to see these kinds of numbers in California, according to Dr. Kevin Cordenez of Loma Linda University's Healthcare Division of Endocrinology, Diabetes, and Metabolism. Given the state's cultural emphasis on exercise and healthy eating, one might expect to see numbers that differ from the rest of the nation. However, we've talked about this. There are two Californians. Yeah. There's the California along the coast all the way up and down the state, which tends to be very affluent, but the notable exception of maybe parts of Los Angeles and Santa Ana, but they're mostly very healthy and wealthy people up there. Then you have the people who don't live on the coast, everybody else in the interior, but not even. It's not like it's not cut in half. It's that the interior is larger than the coast.
Oh yeah.
And then there you find a totally different story, and it's because of a lot of things. It's the fast food advertising, and soda advertising. Gatorade is sold as a health drink, and it's not. If you are not an athlete sweating out all of those electrolytes, you don't need Gatorade.
Yeah. Well, and it's also lifestyle stuff, right? It's what they're talking about is that the kinds of jobs and the kind of lifestyle choices we're making have people a lot more sedentary than they used to be.
But I really push back on it's the fat person's fault. I really do. And I say this because I would say that the diet itself makes people sedentary because they feel like garbage. And that we talked about on this show, people who are very, very tired crave carbohydrates. Well, let's talk about what are cheap carbohydrates. Carbohydrates that are subsidized by our tax dollars through farm bills.
Yeah.
Corn, wheat, junk food. A bag of Doritos is far cheaper than buying, the same number of calories in fruit.
Yeah. No, I agree, but I think that we have to be fair in saying that it's a combination of diet and exercise, and we're failing.
You just blame the fat person.
I did not blame the fat person, Aaron. I'm talking about there's two things that we have to think about when we're talking about what causes diabetes, And you have to have a combination. You can't just sit there and say, oh, I'm going to sit around and do nothing and change my diet and be fine. You still have to get off your butt every now and then and do some exercise.
Indeed.
And so that's all I'm saying is we've got to create ways to be more active. That's it.
And I push back on this because even Michelle Obama has done a lot to raise, with her Let's Move campaign, it has done a lot to raise awareness. But the federal government still subsidizes corn to a level that makes junk food really inexpensive.
Yeah. And
if you are on a very limited budget and you have to feed a family, you're going to buy the most calories that you can afford.
Yeah.
And so you'll find that in our low-income urban neighborhoods, people that are simultaneously obese and malnourished, if they felt better, they would eat better.
Yeah.
And if they had more money, they would eat better. I think if we should be. I believe there should be a farm bill. I think there should be farm bills. But I don't believe they should go to giant agribusiness. It's making food that's addictive and going to kill us.
And I agree 100%. But let's talk about the physical fitness side, too. I've just finished doing this massive research project for the 50th anniversary of Frisbee Middle School. And in that research, one of the things I discovered was the changes in physical education in our schools. Back in the old days, 40, 50 years ago, they had much higher standards of what kids had to be able to do in a PE class. And we had a lot more equipment and activities that were designed to make sure that kids were physically fit. We used to have chin-up bars, and kids had to be able to do a certain number of chin-ups.
Yeah, I remember those.
We don't have chin-up bars anymore.
Really?
They're gone, And the standards, now the kids have to be able to do a mile in 12 minutes. That is, for lack of a better word, that's a fast walking pace. For
an adult.
For an adult. But you can do, it is not an unreasonable goal. And yet we have tons of kids who can't make the 12-minute mile, And there's just a real different attitude change. And I give all credit to our PE teachers who deal with kids who they can't even get them to put the PE clothes on to go out there and do the basic activities.
Part of the reason is that PE classes can have 60 kids in them.
I agree. That's another part of the problem. And so, we've just sort of changed some of the expectations. And these kids, because they've never really had to do sports and they've spent their whole life sort of sitting there with video games and other things that have come along as part of our modern life, are not as physically active. And we've just sort of accepted that. And this is one of these things where the culture is the culture of our lack of physical activity is feeding into the same culture. If you talk about these giant subsidized agribusinesses that are, feeding us cheap, lousy food
that makes us sick,
yeah.
Food that makes us addicted.
Yeah.
And I say this because so I was been on a low carb diet, and for the most part, I have felt better on a low carb diet. I fell off the wagon this weekend.
Yeah.
I ate junk food this weekend. I had 2 nights ago. I had a dilly bar for dinner.
Ooh.
It was really good, and I woke up yesterday feeling, for lack of a better word, hungover.
Yeah.
Because of the junk that I had put into my body. On the low carb diet, I'm eating. There's some junk food in there, but low carb junk food. But I'm eating high quality protein and fruits and vegetables,
yeah.
which is what I feel so much better. And until I got the flu, I was using our brand new treadmill.
Yeah.
But it's you feel when you're eating food that the body needs, you feel genuinely better.
Yeah.
Genuinely like I can get up and do some exercise. I want to get up and do some exercise.
So I want to point two cities out as.
And we'll do that when we get back because it's 6:15.
Oh, okay.
So I'm Erin Brinker.
I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050 and FM 106.5. We'll be right back.
KCAA Loma Linda, your CNBC news station for the Inland Empire.
Hi, I'm Dr. Enrique Murillo, and the campus at Cal State San Bernardino and numerous town hall viewing sites across the nation, one near you, are pleased to host the LEAD Summit. Education is the economic imperative of our time and the civil rights issue of our generation, and Latino students disproportionately bear the crux of the educational crisis. So are you ready to make a difference? Are you ready to connect with and be part of educational leadership? Are you ready to find cross-sectional solutions to improve the education and lives of all students? then raise your hand, step in, and get involved. Please join us on Wednesday, March 30th for our 7th annual observance of Latino Education and Advocacy Days as we convene those sharing a common interest and commitment to educational issues that impact Latinos. Please bring a new or gently used children's book in English or Spanish to the KCAA booth, and we will give them to the Inland Empire Children's Book Project. For more information, please visit leadsummit.csusb.edu.
Hi, this is Steve Alador from Rancho Financial with the Mortgage Minute. With property values increasing, this might be the perfect time to do a loan checkup to see if it makes sense to refinance. Do you have an equity line? If your equity line is getting close to 10 years old, your payment is about to fully amortize. Coupled with the certainty that the feds will soon increase short-term rates, there might be a substantial jump in payment on your line of credit. If we combine your current loan, equity line, and possibly even some of your credit debt, there could be a substantial reduction in what you have to pay each month. Do you have VA eligibility? VA will allow 100% cash-out financing. This may be a perfect time to use your eligibility. We can go 85% cash out with FHA or 80% with a standard conventional loan. There are many possible options that could make a huge difference in your monthly payments. That's why you need a loan financial planner to provide you with all of your possible options. Give me a call, Steve Alador, at 888-563-1070. That's 888-563-1070, or go to loanfinancialplanner.com.
Tired of spending too much money on an ad and then trying to find your ad in the newspaper, buried among hundreds, even thousands of other ads? Isn't it time you got a great deal when you were trying to sell that car, that dining room set, that refrigerator, or offering your handyman services? Now you can in the Nickel Shopper. For as little as $7.50 per week, your ad can be seen by thousands of eyeballs in the high desert, and they're getting the Nickel Shopper for free. Call today to place your ad in the Nickel Shopper, 760-646-3654, or go to thenickelshopper.com for all the details, 760-646-3654. The Nickel Shopper, now in the IE.
Are you looking for the right place to purchase your landscaping items? Well, come see us at Hydroscape. Hydroscape offers a large selection of irrigation products including Irritrol and Toro, such as their efficient precision nozzles. For 40 years, Hydroscape has been family owned and operated, serving Southern California. With 17 locations, our knowledgeable and experienced staff is equipped to help you with all your irrigation, landscape, and outdoor living projects. Whether you're installing irrigation systems, wanting to maintain a healthy landscape, or simply create a beautiful lit space for outdoor entertaining, Hydroscape is the place to go. Visit our website at hydroscape.com for more information and find helpful articles on our blog, or call our customer service center at 1-800-395-4477.
A Touch of Brass, a distributor of kitchen and bath fixtures, is seeking an internal auditor for its Chino, California office. Job duties include managing company financial documents, developing company budgets and protocols to reduce waste, and analyzing and reviewing business trends to forecast future revenues and expenses. A bachelor's degree in accounting is required. Mail resumes to HR 13832 Magnolia Avenue, Chino, California 91710. KCAA is your CNBC news affiliate. We're the station that gets down to business.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5. We continue our conversation about the epidemic of pre-diabetes in the state of California. And Tobin, you were going to compare two cities.
Yeah, the cities I wanted to talk about, and I remembered reading an article a long time ago about Loma Linda and how their lifespan there was so much longer than
They are the only
else.
blue zone in the United States.
Yeah, and a blue zone is there are five, named one of five blue zones in the world, and it's a place where people live exceptionally longer, right? And the secret to the longevity, according to the people in Loma Linda, is diet and exercise. Right? And, of course, Loma Linda was founded as a Seventh-day Adventist community, and today about a third of the people that live in Loma Linda are Adventist, and they are vegetarian. And so they talk about eating fresh fruits and vegetables and really sort of sticking with those kind of natural things, staying away from processed foods and particularly staying away from meat. And then also they have a lot of very they're very focused on living an active lifestyle as well. And so we have the Loma Linda Lopers and other groups in Loma Linda that are supporting community involvement and engagement and activity. And so it's not uncommon to see people in their 80s and 90s in Loma Linda. And so that's
80s, 90s, and 100s. They have a large number of centenarians, and a proportionally large number of centenarians in Loma Linda,
which is amazing. And then right next door, you have San Bernardino, where the lifespan is significantly shorter. And I think the key factor in San Bernardino is poverty. They have an extremely high level of poverty in San Bernardino. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said that, a lot of folks that are poor, when you don't have a lot of money to spend, you're forced to make a whole different set of choices about food, right? And so you're trying to stretch those dollars as far as you can. So you get those subsidized items, which are cheaper and provide more calories, but are really, really bad for you.
Well, and look at school lunches.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that even with the better standards, to meet those standards, the same school lunches are provided. They're just smaller portions.
Yeah.
So now the kids are getting lousy nutrition and they're hungry.
Yeah.
And it's not okay.
In the staff lounge the other day, we were actually talking about the fact that these kids are always walking around with these bags of these flaming hot Cheetos. That's like the thing that these kids fill up on, and it drives us crazy. I mean, you just see flaming hot Cheetos all over the place. That is not nutrition.
No, it's not. It'll fill your stomach.
Yeah.
You may enjoy the taste, but it's not nutrition.
Oh, and the chemicals, I'm sure it's burning out their intestines. And these kids are going to have, all kinds of stomach issues.
They're probably washing it down with a Pepsi.
Probably. But see, now we don't sell Pepsis on campus for the kids.
Yeah, but they can take them.
I know. And some of them do. But they find other alternatives. It's like you said, you'll see a kid with some other form of a sugary
vitamin
drink.
water or Gatorade or any other kind of soda. It's all the same. And when we were kids, back in the day, when we were kids, people drank soda, but you'd have like one a couple of times a week if you had it that often. We never had them in our home. And so and none of my friends really drank them. If we went to McDonald's when we were teenagers and we could drive ourselves or go ourselves, it was a big deal to go to McDonald's to get fast food because we never ate it at our house.
Yeah.
But now it's quite normal for families to spend a lot of money on soda.
Well, for me, in my family, it wasn't soda, it was Kool-Aid, right? And I used to remember watching my mom make it and pouring scoop after scoop of sugar
into Kool-Aid. That's right, because I think it takes a cup of sugar in for each one of those little packets of Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and we would all Kool-Aid, sugar, But so we had our little vices too, but we probably had more of the natural juices than our kids grew up with.
We had water.
Our kids grew up with a lot of soda.
Yeah, well, because we drank a lot of soda at that time. It was diet, but it was still soda.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, you talk about the exercise bit. We'd be outside all day long.
Yeah. As a kid, Mom would kick you out of the house and say, just make sure you're home before the street lights come on. And with our generation with our kids, the kids that we had,
we never do that.
No, well,
it wasn't safe.
It wasn't safe. And if they were, you were out there with them for just a short period of time, and then they'd get bored, and they wanted to come in and they wanted to watch movies and videos or play their video games.
Yep.
That was the things the kids wanted to do, and it just ended up being easier on us too because you didn't have to worry about them out running the streets.
Right. Yeah. Well, and we live in a different world, and I'm not faulting parents by any stretch of the imagination. About being more vigilant about watching their children.
Yeah.
We live in a different world than we did in the 1970s.
But those cultural shifts have had costs as well, right? And that's why I think we've seen this tremendous spike in prediabetes, and that scares me.
I challenge the government. If you really cared about the health of our nation, you would do a couple of things. Number one, you would change the subsidy structure in the Farm Bill. And I know that that's not an easy fix, but if you really cared about this country, that's something that you would be focused on doing.
Yeah.
Because this is a national security problem. There have been there was a study released. Actually, it's been released twice, two different studies that's called Too Fat to Fight.
Yeah.
Or not fit to fight, which means that they're finding recruits that are in shape well enough to be able to go into the military is far more difficult than it ever has been before.
Yeah.
These kids can't get through boot camp.
Wow.
And so if there came a situation where we'd had to ramp up the numbers in our military quickly, it would be very difficult to do.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's a big problem. We've got to address it.
And And the beverage companies are the tobacco companies of yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They really are. You know.
Well, and it strikes me that they've spent so much money trying to hide what's in their product, right? We've had all these bills to try to, change the labeling, so they have to, I suspect at some point we're going to be like cigarettes, right? They're going to have that warning label on there. This is highly addictive.
Well,
this is...
And again, the marketing puts it completely on the consumer. They make a product that's addictive, and then they put it on the consumer saying, well, you're just not living a balanced life. No, you formulated it to be addictive. It's no different from cigarettes.
Yeah. Speaking of cigarettes, did you see the story about California upping the age to smoke?
To 21 years old.
21 years old. How do you feel about that?
Well, smoking is, it's a nasty habit, and it's pretty much shunned. It's pretty much, you're not allowed to smoke in a lot of places in California, including in your car if you have children there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's going to make any difference. I really don't. I don't. I think that if you're old enough to vote, if you're old enough to go to war, if you're old enough to be emancipated, you are no longer considered a child. You are completely. You have the right to enter contracts. You have the right, to do all of that. I think that it's ridiculous that you can't also smoke cigarettes.
Well, what's interesting to me is I wonder if this applies to marijuana with our medical marijuana law as well. Right?
I'm sure it doesn't.
I'm sure it doesn't either. So that's the irony of this, right? So I can't smoke a cigarette until I'm 21, but at 18 I can go get my joint and smoke marijuana. I think that this state is just loopy on some of these things, right? And I'm with you. I mean, if you're old enough to fight in a war and die for your country, you're
old enough to buy a pack of cigarettes.
You're old enough to make the stupid decision to go buy cigarettes. Now, I'm not a smoker and I'm not a fan of it, but I don't think that people's right to make a bad decision like that should be taken away from them. If you're 18, if 18's old enough for all these other things, yeah.
So, and let's talk about, because it sounds like you and I are being contradictory, but saying, smoking at 18 is not a big deal, but boy, that food, except that everybody needs to eat.
Yeah.
Everybody, and our tax dollars are not subsidizing big tobacco right now.
Yeah.
It's not happening now. And so I want to make sure that it's not intellectually dishonest or inconsistent to hold the positions that we've just talked about.
Yeah, well, and when we talk about the food stuff, I mean, I would draw lines on a couple different things. Like Bloomberg wanted to limit the size of sodas in New York.
Drink more soda. You'll just drink smaller.
Yeah, I thought that was a ridiculous kind of approach, right? But on terms of the subsidies, that's a more rational discussion because it's our tax dollars, and if we're going to spend our tax dollars on something, I would rather have it spent on things that are going to help improve our health than things that are,
We shouldn't be subsidizing high fructose corn syrup.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. But let me go one step further. I do believe that food subsidies are a necessary component of maintaining a food supply for our nation. That because of the way farming works, because of the cyclical nature of weather and the fact that crops, their boom years and bust years, that there needs to be a subsidy system there to make sure that farms are able to be sustainable throughout whatever the economic situation is.
I am not complaining about that.
But
I'm complaining about big subsidies to agribusiness to support stuff that's bad for us.
And that's why I say we have to be smart about it, and I don't think we're smart about it. I think that unfortunately the system has been skewed by large political donations from these big players in the soda industry and the corn. The corn industry is a big one for corn syrup, for the ethanol, for all these other ones. I actually liked Ted Cruz in the debate last night when he took on the ethanol subsidies. I think that needs to go the way of the
dodo.
Yeah, exactly.
So at 6:30, it's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA, AM 1050 and FM 106.5. We'll be right back.
Miss something today, yesterday, last week? Check out our podcasts at www.kcaaradio.com. We leave no listener behind.
Here's the latest. I'm Tiffany Griffith. One of Donald Trump's supporters is facing assault charges for allegedly punching an African-American protester who was being led out of a Trump rally in North Carolina. John McGraw told Inside Edition he had no regrets.
Yes, he deserved it. The next time we see him, we might have to kill him.
Meanwhile, a reporter for Breitbart News is also accusing Trump's campaign manager of grabbing her arm and pushing her. Trump accused the reporter of making up the story and called her delusional. Last night's GOP debate included a showdown over the Israeli Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Ted Cruz criticized GOP frontrunner Donald Trump of being neutral on the issue. Trump hit back at Cruz, saying, "Nobody on this stage is more pro-Israel than I am." And the nation bids farewell to former First Lady Nancy Reagan. Her funeral will be held at the Reagan Library in Southern California, where Mrs. Reagan will be buried alongside her husband. First Lady Michelle Obama will attend, as well as several former First Ladies and former President George W. Bush. You're listening to the latest from 24/7 News. More than 60 Louisiana parishes are under a statewide emergency after rain and severe weather battered the state yesterday, with more to come. One parish is dealing with the deaths of 3 people. Japan is marking the 5th anniversary of the Fukushima nuclear disaster, and a damaged reactor continues to leak radiation into the ocean. American researchers say some of that leaked radiation is still hitting the west coast of the United States. A tsunami struck the Fukushima plant on this day in 2011 after a massive magnitude 9.0 earthquake rocked the region, killing nearly 16,000 people. U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch speaking about the case pitting Apple against the FBI.
She assured the public that Apple unlocking an iPhone used by one of the San Bernardino shooters won't affect their privacy. She explained on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert last night that the court is only looking for evidence on a single phone, not trying to spy on iPhone users.
That's Randy Fuller reporting. And the Kobe Bryant era in the NBA is coming to an end. Last night's game between the LA Lakers and Cleveland Cavaliers was the last time Bryant would face LeBron James on the court. I'm Tiffany Griffith.
It's time for your KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker. We have Friday light out there in Corona. Stop and go traffic on the 91 westbound between the 15 and Main Street in Corona. The 71 south is slow from Euclid to the 91. The 91 west is slow from the 15 to Green River. In Moreno Valley, stop and go traffic on the 215 northbound between East Ridge Avenue and Eucalyptus Avenue and Highway 60. So East Ridge Eucalyptus is the same off-ramp. In Moreno Valley, 215 north is slow from Eucalyptus to Box Spring Road. And finally, in the Cajon Pass on the 15 northbound at Kenwood Avenue, there's an off-ramp that's closed until April 9th. This has been your KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Ron Pritchard for this morning. Rain and possible thunderstorms, patchy fog, and a high near 68. Tonight, rain and possible thunderstorm, a low near 47. Saturday, a chance of rain, mostly sunny with a high near 64. Saturday night, partly cloudy, a low near 47. Sunday, a chance of rain, mostly sunny with a high near 66. Sunday night, a chance of rain, partly cloudy skies, and a low near 51. Monday, a chance of rain, mostly sunny, and a high near 64. That's your weather forecast for this hour from KCAA 106.5 FM and 1050 AM, the stations that leave no listener behind.
What have I learned so far? I've learned that dropping out of high school was my decision. But as a single mom, that decision affected more than just me. To set an example, I had to be the example. I found a free high school diploma program at Learn for Life that fits around my busy life. I have a team of teachers, tutors, and counselors that really care. I learn at my pace in an environment that is safe and comfortable. What have I learned so far? I've learned that I can change my life.
Are you 14 to 19 years old and looking for a free high school diploma program with flexible meeting times? This program allows you to keep your job or important family responsibilities while earning your high school diploma. If you've fallen behind on credits or dropped out of school completely, get back on track with free tutoring, a caring faculty, and one-on-one attention. For more information on how to reach your graduation goal, visit learnforlife.org. That's LEARN4LIFE.org. Or enroll today by calling 877-360-LEARN. That's 877-360-LEARN.
Your voice, your opinions, heard round the world at www.kcaaradio.com. The station that leaves no listener behind, KCAA.
I'm just a little bit caught in the middle. Life is a maze and love is a riddle. I don't know where to go, can't do it alone. I've tried and I don't know why.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5. So, you know, the biggest story this summer, one of the biggest, not the biggest, but one of the big stories this summer was all, and in the fall, all of the protesting and that sort of thing that was going on various university campuses. The most noteworthy was the University of Missouri.
Yeah. Well, Missouri was a hotbed this summer. I mean, you know, they had their riots in what was that city? in Missouri where the
Ferguson.
Ferguson, thank you. And so, yeah, Missouri just had all kinds of issues this summer.
It really did. And the University of Missouri is now feeling an impact from remember they had the big walkouts and it was.
They had riots there.
It looked like, well, no, I meant on campus.
Yeah.
It looked like, the 1960s at the University of Missouri. And you might remember journalists were trying to get close to the people who were protesting, the Black Lives Matter people who were protesting.
Yes.
And Professor Melissa Click was, she was keeping the journalists out.
She was the one film screaming at him
Yes.
and cursing at him and
Yes.
you can't be here.
Yes, exactly. She's a communications professor at the University of Missouri.
Yeah.
And she was, and the run-in that she had with student journalists, and they weren't outsiders, they were student journalists. And this followed the resignation of the university system's president and the Columbia campus's chancellor in Columbia, Missouri.
Yeah.
So, the university, since then, the University of Missouri, and I guess it was last spring that it happened.
Yeah.
University of Missouri reported a near 25% drop in student enrollment following its unrest.
So what you're telling me is that actions have consequences?
They do.
Wow.
They do. This is the result of political correctness to run amok, weak university leadership, and inflated college costs. Now, this is a quote here. I'm writing to you today to confirm that we project a very significant budget shortfall due to an unexpected sharp decline in first-year enrollments and student retention coming this fall, wrote Interim Chancellor Hank Foley in a university memo Wednesday. Instead of a 900 student drop as Mizzou expected, the university was looking at a 1,500 student drop. That meant a continuing revenue shortfall as a smaller freshman class moves towards graduation, he explained. With the U.S. News and World Report reporting a 46% four-year graduation rate for the school, it's a steep loss indeed.
So less than half the kids who start there graduate.
In 4 years.
In 4 years. And wow.
So this is translated into a $32 million revenue shortfall, and the University of Missouri, so Mizzou, will have to cut expenses 5% and impose a hiring freeze. Bear in mind that the revenue shortfall was not a result of the Missouri's House cutoff of $1 million of state money and $7.6 million from UM system administrative funding, which happened earlier this week. The chancellor emphasized it's due to the missing students. That's the consumer verdict on the educational product of the University of Missouri. It sells for $19,000 a year for in-state tuitions and $32,000 for out-of-state students. Incredibly, the chancellor never mentioned in his memo any reason for the students' absence. It's attack of the body snatchers.
That's right. Those prices. I mean, as an out-of-state parent, right? If we were to send a kid there, it'd cost us $32,000. There's no way I would spend that much money to send my kid to a school where only less than half graduate in 4 years.
Yes.
And they've had all this kind of craziness on campus.
Yes.
I mean, these guys are in a death spiral. And this is the free market system at work. People are evaluating what's going on at this school versus other schools and saying, I'm not going there.
Well, and it's not like there's Stanford.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's it's not like they're even UCLA.
Yeah.
So the university that the university is loaded with academic zeros, and this is from Investors Business Daily, a notably right-wing paper, such as Associate Professor Melissa Click, a women's studies quote-unquote expert with zero knowledge of journalism, indoctrinating students in radical leftism at Missouri's famed journalism school, and getting caught on camera attempting to stifle free speech. No dissent allowed, and don't even think about free inquiry.
Now hold on. They just announced last week, too, she got fired. So
but she's not accepting her termination.
Yeah, right. Okay, so she's gone, and therefore they've just saved some money. So their little budget crunch just got a little less bad, Aaron.
There you go.
Because they got rid of Melissa Click.
They also saw a wimpy establishment that permitted the BLM activists to pretty well take over the campus, hurl phony charges of racism at the school's establishment, and then see the university administrators cave to their demands like a bad souffle. In the wake of those protests, the university president was forced to resign, yet the demands of the radicals only grew louder. Amid this, parents and students saw the same overpriced tuition, bloated administrative budgets, useless majors, and inflated salaries that plague all universities, so they voted with their feet, leaving one of the country's once great land and grant universities with a distinguished past academic history in the dust. If that's not a warning to all universities to clean up their act, what is?
Now, this was the story, if I remember correctly, where the African-American kid at Mizzou went on the hunger strike, right? And that's when they ended up caving, and they ended up getting rid of the president and the chancellor and all that.
But it was kind of vague. So one guy was hurling racial epithets, and he wasn't a student, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And there were some other vague kind of culture of racism, and it's important to say. And the big thing was that the president refused to admit his own privilege.
Yes.
That was what they wanted.
Yes. And the kid who went on the hunger strike, his father is some sort of multimillionaire guy, right? So the kid the African-American kid who was claiming that he was the one being oppressed and held, came from a multimillionaire family with all this wealth and advantage, and he's the one that's out there blaming all these other people because he feels that, the world is unfair to him.
Right.
Wow.
So people are voting with their feet. And I will tell you, the politics notwithstanding, I would feel as a parent that it's an unsafe environment. I wouldn't send my kid there. Certainly wouldn't spend $20,000. Definitely wouldn't spend $36,000 to send my child there. And that, mind you, that's just tuition. $19,000. You haven't bought a book. You haven't paid for a meal. You haven't bought a parking pass.
Yeah.
And so that's just tuition.
Yeah. And what's interesting to me, this is older kids, it's college, and you're paying to be there. And so people can make these choices. But in a traditional public school setting for K through 12 kids, parents don't have these choices. And I say that because I've seen schools where they've had serious issues similar to this, where they've had riots on campus and they've had all kinds of things that are not safe. And parents oftentimes feel trapped. And so this is when we see kids dropping out sort of under the radar because they don't feel safe going to school. And, I wish that we had some elements of a free market system in our public education system so that parents could vote with their feet a little bit there too.
I agree. And I actually think, and you and I have talked about this, the idea of school boundaries now have really kind of become ridiculous.
Yes,
I say this because your property taxes, they all go to Sacramento, and then Sacramento divvies out those property taxes among all school districts in the state based on how many chairs are filled with kids.
Yeah.
That's how it's done. Now there's extra dollars for low income schools, Title I and that sort of thing, to overcome the inherent challenges that come with a low-income school. But I should be able then, as a parent, since my tax dollars theoretically pay for any school up and down the state, I should be able to then choose which public school to send my child to. Let's not even talk about vouchers for private schools. Make the public schools compete with one another.
Let me tell you this, because when I was a school board member, I would visit all the different schools. And even within an individual school district, there are vast differences between individual schools. And I'll use libraries as just one example, right? You can go into a school. Some schools will have libraries that are filled with books, and they actually have to print a report that you can get from the state every year that will tell you not just how many books they have, but what's the age of those books. And so you'll have ones that have the latest and greatest best books and the latest technology in their library, and then you go to another school just around the corner, right, that will have an inky-dinky little library with no books, no computers, and the age of those books are 30-year-old books that nobody's reading anymore. And as a parent, if I want my kid to be in a school that I want the new stuff, I want the new books with lots of books,
right,
that would be a factor that would be, in my mind, why I would send my kid to one school versus another.
Now, so we'll use in the Colton School District, and actually we'll do this when we come back. It is 6:45. It's time for a break. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5. We'll be right back.
For more local radio every day, tune into KCAA Loma Linda.
Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company has been serving the greater Inland Empire for over 60 years. For all of your printing needs, from full-color printing to high-speed copying and everything in between, go to Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company. Their staff is committed to your total satisfaction. Great service isn't just lip service at Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company. It's the way they do business year after year. Having trouble finding drafting supplies? Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company still carries a complete selection. Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company is rated high in customer satisfaction by Value Star, an independent rating company. For all of your personal or business printing, call Redlands Blueprint and Commercial Printing Company at 909-792-3478. That's 792-3478, or visit them on New York Street in Redlands off the I-10 and the Crosstown Freeway.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS or state? Do you have unfiled tax returns? The IRS wants to collect from you and will do whatever it takes to make sure they get the money you owe. They'll garnish your wages, levy your bank account, and lien your house. The IRS isn't going away. You can't ignore them. They will get their money. Call the Tax Alliance helpline now at 1-800-577-4621 for free info. The professionals at the Tax Alliance helpline will help you with your tax problems. Garnished wages, bank levies, and property liens can be stopped, but you have to call now. We have former IRS agents on staff who know the ins and outs of the system and how to make them work for you. Don't let back taxes on the IRS or state ruin your life. Call the Tax Alliance helpline now and let the experts fight for you. Get the info you need. Call 1-800-577-4621. That's 1-800-577-4621. 1-800-577-4621.
Looking for a great cover band or one of the world's top tribute artists for your corporate event? You've come to the right place. David Levin Entertainment, Southern California's premier entertainment company, serving the Inland Empire, Orange County, Los Angeles, and San Diego. Call us at 650-282-5009 or visit us online and watch the videos at davidlevinent.com. That's davidlevinent.com.
In the mood for some great Chinese food? Well, Mr. Yu's Chinese Food is where you need to be. Mr. Yu's Chinese Food not only has a delicious dinner menu, they also offer delicious lunch specials including their yummy fried rice and chow mein. But get this, it also includes any two items just for $5.85. Or you can get any one item for only $4.85. You should also try their Big Bowl special for just $4.10. The service is fast and friendly. Mr. Yu's Chinese Food is located at 256 Carousel Mall in San Bernardino, California. To contact Mr. Yu's Chinese Food, call 909-383-0195. Again, that's 909-383-0195. And yes, the Carousel Mall is still open.
That's right!
Listen to KCAA Loma Linda for less confrontation and more information.
Welcome back. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5. We were talking about differences in public schools and how we believe that there should be competition between public schools, among public schools.
Heck yeah.
And one of the things that Tobin said was important to him was the school library. And I know that, so at our when our children went to one of the schools in the Colton district for elementary school, and the river at that time there was no funding for libraries.
Yep.
And so the PTA made it a priority to raise money for the library, and all year long selling wrapping paper, cookie dough,
you name it,
they were selling it, and were able to raise enough money to be able to fill the library with some books.
Yeah.
Which and I think they paid for a part-time librarian as well.
Yeah.
And so that was, parents made that a priority. School funding. It bothers me that the library wasn't funded wholly in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I think books are important, and kids having access to books is important.
Well, let's talk about the way this inequality develops, because the state law says that the books that are bought for that school have to stay at that school, right? And so you have different librarians at different schools making different choices, and over a period of time you end up with major disparities, and you have different administrators making different choices too about whether they purchase technology or whatever. And so you can really end up with a vast difference in what's available in the libraries. Also facilities. I went to one school where they didn't actually have a building or a room that was what we would call a library. They just had taken a small classroom and turned it into a library. And in order to fit the books they had in there, the shelves were so high, the little kids couldn't reach them. And they literally had to have these little step stools so that the kids could come in and find the books, because in order to fit them all in the room. I mean, and that just struck me as crazy.
Right.
But then you found principals that were trying to be innovative, and they put the libraries in the classrooms. So they would just build shelves in the classrooms for the teachers and build classroom libraries.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. But here's the thing, if you only you have that one teacher, you only have access to the books that are in their room, and so it's a smaller set of books than you might have had if you could go to the big library and look through all the books, and so they're trade-offs. And people don't understand. I, as a former school board member, I wanted to be able to say, as a district, can we, balance out some of these inequalities and move books around? And we were told no. The law does not allow you to do that. That school paid for those books; they have to stay there. And there isn't a system designed to level that playing field. And so if you can't level the playing field that way, I think you have to give parents the choice to say, which school do you want to go to?
Right.
And if you want your kid at the library, at the school with the good library, you go send them there. And there's lots of factors that parents would make their decisions based on.
So we chose to send our kids to not our neighborhood school. They went to a magnet school. And many districts, Colton included, have several different kinds of magnet schools.
Yes.
Now, it's up to the parents then to deal with transportation to get their children to that magnet school. But it allowed us as parents to say, okay, this is where we want our child to go.
Now, we chose the arts magnet, right?
We
so
did.
Our kids got to learn about all different types of performing and
visual and performing
arts, and it was an amazing opportunity and experience for them. But they didn't have at the time one that I wish they had, which came in later, which was a language magnet, where the kids would have been immersed in a different language and would have finished their elementary school bilingual.
Right.
Now Colton has that, and I would have loved to have sent our kids
that as well,
where they would have done dual immersion.
Well, and for Reagan, our daughter is now a Spanish major. That would have better prepared her.
But she loves the arts too. I mean,
she does.
She sings, she performs. I mean, she's amazing.
And I also think, and I posted an article on my Facebook page last week talking about schools that have, they're trying this experiment in Texas, I think it was Texas, to give kids more recess time. So it was, significantly more, back to when we were kids.
Yeah.
And the kids behaved and performed much better when at regular intervals they could go blow off steam.
Yeah.
Little kid, and we're not talking high school students, we're talking elementary school students. They need time to be able to have unstructured play and physical activity. They got to move their little bodies to then come back and focus. I think that we've, for whatever reason, we've decided that PE, or not PE, but recess is not important.
Well, and I think it's a factor of this whole testing regime that we've gotten ourselves in, of trying to constantly measure everything, that we have so hyper-structured stuff because we want to increase test scores, right?
Right.
That we've really lost, in many ways, the heart and soul of education. And teachers will tell you, I mean, it's not the same anymore. It really isn't.
And that's unfortunate.
It is.
That's unfortunate. I also think, well, now that we're talking about this, music and the arts is important.
Yeah.
And for high school students, having vocational training is important, because not everybody is going to go to college.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that the pendulum starts swinging back the other way. And I think we're starting to see that happen. I know that there's some, San Bernardino City Unified now is a different district than it was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a completely different district. And there are several different, there are career pathways within the schools. There are, various programs at the various schools allow students to be able to choose what fits with them and to get them ready for a career.
If you had to put my middle school up against other schools, I think we would compete very well. I think that there are things that we offer, things that we do that make our campus unique and different.
You have a big library.
And better. We have a big library, but we also have a really active club culture on our campus with lots of things for the kids to do. Our ASB is fantastic. They do all kinds of great things with the kids and for the kids. And we just have a group of teachers that are focused on giving kids experiences. So we do the field trips, we do those kinds of things where these kids get to get out of their zone. And so, in fact, today, the 8th grade AVID kids are going to be visiting colleges, right? So a bunch of my 8th graders will be gone today. And we do this kind of stuff regularly. We're going to have a really big career day. We're bringing in people. We have guest speakers all the time on our campus, you know. And these kinds of things, I think, differentiate. And parents, when they hear about this stuff, like, I want my kid to go there.
Yeah.
I think we would compete very well. But the way the system's set up is we don't get to compete. So nobody gets to hear about how great Frisbee is. Right. Because they just know what their local school is because they don't have a choice. Well, why would I care what your school does? Because I can't go there anyway. You know?
Well, and at the end of our show, I want to give a shout out to the girls soccer team at Grand Terrace High School. They have advanced to the state final after their win over Webb. Grand Terrace is playing the best soccer of the season right now, and its timing couldn't be any better. Michaela Milliken dished out 2 assists, and the Titans continued their dream run with a 3-0 win over Claremont Webb in the CIF State SoCal Regional Division 5 semifinals. Grand Terrace who has a season of 19-9-3, so 19 wins, 9 losses, and 3 ties, as I'm guessing what that is. Winners of 9 straight will visit top-seeded Simi Valley Grace Brethren in the regional final on Saturday. All the girls feel like they're on the same page. Forward Skylar Cleveland said, all the girls are super hungry and seeing the opportunities, which is really fantastic.
That 9-0 run, right? They've won 9 games in a row, has been phenomenal. We've been watching this on Facebook because we've got a lot of friends. Our daughter graduated from Grand Terrace High School, and we know a lot of the folks up there. This is one of those things, right? When it goes right like this, it's just amazing, and you just find yourself rooting for these girls, right? You want them to win the big one, take it all the way. Right?
Well, and I gotta say, Grand Terrace culture. If you've had children in Grand Terrace, your life in the fall is spent on soccer fields.
Yes,
it really is. And a lot of kids play club ball, but soccer is a real dominant sport in the city of Grand Terrace, and
yes,
so
it is.
I absolutely loved seeing these girls doing so well.
Listen to this, Aaron. The Titans have outscored opponents 32-4 during this 9-game win streak. 32-4.
Wow!
How amazing is that? These girls are scoring like crazy.
Well, and one of the things that they say is important. When we were losing, we didn't get down on ourselves, and this is according to one of their students. Honestly, it made us work even harder to get to the level we're playing now.
Yeah.
So they doubled down. They worked harder. They became a better team. Grand Terrace controlled the tempo from the outset and opened scoring in the 22nd minute. Milliken led a charge down the right side and fired a shot that was knocked away, but Cleveland collected the rebound in front of the net and buried it for her 18th goal.
Wow.
So way to go, Titan ladies.
And major kudos to their coach, Ryan Pacheco. How proud he must be of these young women and what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
Hard work paying off.
Hard work paying off, and I know that their football team was also very good this year, and other teams have been very good. And way to go, Grand Terrace. And we'll have to watch that CIF State SoCal Regional Division 5, or no, the next level, the finals.
Next level, yep.
So it's 6:59. It's the end of our show. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Erin Brinker.
And I'm Tobin Brinker.
And we are on The Brink, the morning show on KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5. Have a great weekend.
You're listening to KCAA, Loma Linda, California. The best station in the nation.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. It looks like we're headed for a higher open on Wall Street. U.S. import prices fell for an 8th straight month in February. The pace of decline is beginning to slow as the dollar's rally fades and oil prices stabilize. The Labor Department says import prices dipped 0.3% after a revised 1% decrease in January. The bucco posting higher than expected earnings results. Revenue was in line with estimates. Stabilizing oil prices are helping energy companies like Chevron. The energy giant was upgraded to neutral from sell by Goldman Sachs. And United Continental is teaming up with Air New Zealand in a revenue-sharing deal. It's taking advantage of the country's rising popularity with tourists. The airline will launch flights to Auckland from San Francisco in July and make those flights daily in November. Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio.
Dentist office, may I help you?
Hi, I'd like to cancel my teeth whitening appointment.
Oh, may I ask why?
I found a teeth whitener that works in 5 minutes that I can do from home.
Can I ask what it is?
It's called Power Swabs, and it whitens your teeth in 5 minutes, doesn't leave my teeth feeling sensitive, and it's a lot less expensive than visiting the dentist.
Hi, I'm John Greenhut, the CEO of Power Swabs. And if you want to whiten your teeth on average 2 shades in 5 minutes and 6 shades in 7 days, then try Power Swabs. There's no messy strips or trays that you'll have to leave in your mouth for an hour. Just swab your teeth and you're done. It removes stains on natural teeth as well as caps and veneers. Try Power Swabs risk-free by calling 1-800-204-1201. That's 1-800-204-1201. I guarantee your friends and coworkers will be wowed by your new white smile. Try it risk-free and get free shipping and handling today. Dial 1-800-204-1201. That's 1-800-204-1201.
From the KCAA Weather Center, I'm Ron Pritchard for this morning. Rain and possible thunderstorms, patchy fog, and a high near 68. Tonight, rain and possible thunderstorm, a low near 47. Saturday, a chance of rain, mostly sunny with a high near 64. Saturday night, partly cloudy, a low near 47. Sunday, a chance of rain, mostly sunny with a high near 66. Sunday night, a chance of rain, partly cloudy skies, and a low near 51. Monday, a chance of rain, mostly sunny, and a high near 64. That's your weather forecast for this hour from KCAA 106.5 FM and 1050 AM, the stations that leave no listener behind.
It's time for your KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker. In Corona, we have stop-and-go traffic on the 91 westbound between the 15 and Main Street in Corona. The 91 west is slow from the 15 to Green River. East is slow from Adams to 14th. The 71 south is slow from Euclid to the 91. In Moreno Valley, stop-and-go traffic on the 215 northbound between Alessandro Boulevard and Eastridge Eucalyptus Avenue. In Moreno Valley, the 215 north is slow from Alessandro to University. The 60 west is slow from Day Street to the 215. And in Norco, slow traffic on the 15 northbound between 2nd Street and 6th Street. The 15 north is slow from 2nd to Limonite and again from the 60 to Harupa. South is slow from the 210 to Baseline and again from Harupa to the 60. This has been your KCAA AM 1050 and FM 106.5 traffic report. I'm Erin Brinker.
This report is brought to you by Party Homes. It's Party's last chance event. Save thousands on the final 5 neighborhoods in Beaumont and Lake Elsinore. Now through March 20th, visit pardeehomes.com/last-chance. Equal opportunity housing builder.
Here's the latest. I'm Tiffany Griffith. Dr. Ben Carson is throwing his support behind Donald Trump's run for president. The GOP frontrunner tells Fox News he's happy to accept.
I love what you're doing, and I'd love to join, and I'd love to endorse you. And I said, Ben, this would be an honor.
The two will appear together in Palm Beach, Florida. The world of politics, media, and Hollywood will say farewell today to Nancy Reagan. The former First Lady's funeral service is scheduled for 11 o'clock this morning Pacific time at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library and Museum in Simi Valley, California. She will be laid to rest next to her husband. President Obama will not be in attendance as he heads to Austin, Texas today. He's scheduled to appear at the South by Southwest Festival, where he'll be part of a technology panel discussion at the annual Music, Film, and Tech Show. And 6 people are now dead after 2 people turned a backyard party into a mass shooting near Pittsburgh. Authorities say the victims killed Wednesday night include a pregnant woman and her unborn child. State and federal authorities are working together to find the killers. You're listening to the latest from 24/7 News.